Okay, so at first I thought this has to be a joke. There's no way in hell a company based out of Switzerland is building $100 million subterranean fortresses for the ultra-rich to ride out the apocalypse while the rest of us catch a million-degree sunburn. There's no way in hell. This has to be parody. This has to be some side hustle of The Onion or some other comedic troupe, but it is in fact real. Today, I'm going to be reacting to the website and their demo video. And disclaimer, I've skimmed the website, I've skimmed the video, so it's not going to be a 100% pure reaction, but mostly. I tried to save the experience for me and you guys to enjoy together or to criticize together, which is what we ultimately might end up doing. As you can see, it's presented in this very American Psycho-esque bourgeois package with the mission statement and all the rest. They've basically ripped off Koyaanisqatsi, which was a sort of documentary musical. I believe it was directed by Francis Ford Coppola, but don't quote me on that, back in the 70s. And the irony and hypocrisy here is that Koyaanisqatsi was meant to represent life out of balance, that mankind had overstepped his boundaries, that we were on the brink of destroying ourselves. That's what Koyaanisqatsi represents. Meanwhile, you have people like who are buying these $100 million bunkers with 5-meter tall ceilings and crystal chandeliers and places to put their artwork are the cause of this, arguably, or at least their excess certainly is not contributing to being a part of the solution. So anyways, let's read their mission statement. Let's look around the website. Let's see what $100 million will buy a guy nowadays. The antithesis of equilibrium is Koyaanisqatsi. The term defines personal turmoil and life out of balance. Unfortunately, the human condition is prone to a world brimming with the unpredictable. It sure is, which is why the rich are building apocalyptic bunkers worth $100 million. And you know what I think, guys? I think that this is probably for the petty bourgeoisie. This isn't for the big dogs. This is for like the paper billionaires, not the cash billionaires. I'm sure that Bill Gates and Bezos have their own private contractors for all this stuff. Anyways, let's carry on. The Swiss are masters at building bunkers. They have the best bunkers. Oppidum's first priority is protecting what our clients cherish most, the ones they love, and their worthless pieces of art that they're not going to be able to eat after it hits the fizzy. Even the strongest face the whims of uncertainty, the strongest, because, you know, the elites are the strongest. Even the ones born with a silver spoon in their mouth. And guys, I'm not free market. You guys know I have a store. I'm pro-freedom, pro-free market. So this ain't some communist ranting and envious of the rich people. This is a prepper thinking about how dumb a lot of the stuff is on this website from a survival standpoint. But let's just carry on. And hopefully the rich are this dumb, because then it will be easy to take their stuff when it all hits the fan. I'm just kidding. I'm prepared. I don't need to steal anybody's stuff. But for those of you who do, this is your opportunity. Volatility is everywhere, but the fortunate can aspire to the comfort found in the safety and protection of Oppidum. I don't know what Oppidum means, but I guess it means something important. So let's see what this is all about. Yeah, look at this. So exquisite, isn't it? So exquisite, the marble floors. Oh, look at that. Okay, let's see. Ultra-luxury fortified underground residences. What could you possibly need something like this for in times of austerity? I wonder if they're really preparing for social upheaval so they can retreat to these lavish layers while the rioters cannot penetrate the fort. I mean, they got indoor growing. Anyway, let's just watch the video. I'll quit talking. I'll shut up. All right. Did you notice that that was like 3 times the size of their house? Now, I understand that their house has probably multiple layers, but it's like they're being more excessive in the apocalypse. It's all about extending privilege. That's what Guy McPherson always talks about, right? Anyways. Okay, let's see what kind of car. They got a Bugatti. They got a Cybertruck. Looks like a Mercedes. Some other stuff. I'm not much of a car guy, but the Cybertruck? I mean, I can mess with that. I do have one on order. Hopefully, Elon can get it together and pump those out before he gets canceled. But that's pretty cool. But look at this. Do you need that? Is that the most efficient solution? I don't think so. That's what I mean. A lot of this is just frivolous. Is that necessary? And the thing is, do you want that? You know, don't you want something manual in case the power just goes out, in case they cut you off somehow from your, I mean, they have internal power systems here, but really? So I mean, I don't think these people stand a hell of a chance of survival. And if you do have your own private security, how do you know that they're not just going to take you out when this all goes down? So, you know, if you're rich, you got to be very careful, man. That's why, you know, one thing that I heard somebody say is that rich people don't travel in limos anymore. They travel in vans because, you know, you don't want to flaunt it, right? If you got it, you don't flaunt it, especially today. So this is why I thought this was a joke, but I guess it isn't.
With everything you need to relax and unwind and keep your mind and body in.
Wait, whoa, 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 whoa. How big is that TV? Is that for real? I mean, look how small that person is, and just imagine the chaos that's going on outside as they're watching or playing this video game. Just imagine being of the mindset of a person who thinks this is okay. Like this is morally justified for you to be sitting there playing your gigantic screen, eating caviar while people eat each other above ground. Anyways, sorry guys. Yeah. Need the pool. Need several pools. I understand the green space. It makes sense. You'd want to have a green space for psychological well-being. I think that would go a long way. If I ever had money to buy a bunker like this, I'd be putting a lot of plants. Even ones that are non-edible will go a long way for the psychological comfort.
Entertain friends and enjoy private time with your family.
Can't you do that upstairs?
Having a safe place to reflect.
Right.
Your private gallery keeps your collection.
Okay. Now, I guess you could make an argument that this is, at once, it's the most eccentric and least at the same time, because there's some sentiment to it, right? Which is why this is kind of more important than the big TV. If you're going to have to choose between preserving some of mankind's finest works and a big television set, go with this instead. But is it really necessary when you're talking about surviving the apocalypse? Probably not. Even though they're marketing this as a safe place to retreat. We all know what it's for. Come on.
In perfect condition and is built to the highest security standards.
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Freedom is the possession of those with courage to defend it. Pericles. Wonder what they're trying to tell us there. The rest of us won't be free. Oh, look at that. Wait a minute. That's a lot of gold. That's a hell of a lot of gold. Each one of these gold bars has to be worth a few $1 million at least, in the very least. And I don't know what they got going on here, but precious metal storage. What else do they got in here? Artworks.
The hidden technology that sustains your life underground is as carefully considered, meticulously engineered.
Okay. Is that, like, what is that? Propane? Is that some kind of natural gas, or what is that?
Beautifully crafted as every other aspect of your Oppidum.
Some air filtration?
Your Oppidum has 2 independent air filtration systems, 2 backup.
They got some diesel generators. The Swiss are well known for their air filtration systems. Atlas survival bunkers, that's what they swear by.
Power generators provide constant, off-the-grid power in case of a blackout.
I hear that Russia is going to be building these mini nuclear reactors. I'm quite certain that they probably have some of those in their own bunkers. And it looks like all of the fuel here is internal, so they're not relying on renewables, which is actually kind of smart if you're trying to keep a low profile and not reliant on, you know, the surface. So they got food storage here, aquaponics, air reserve, a bunch of other things.
Systems operate completely autonomously.
Staff kitchen, so you're still going to have a staff in the apocalypse.
Fully charged at all times, are capable of powering the property independently.
So they have, it looks like they have lithium batteries here as well. And that's, I mean, depending on what the configuration is, that's not a lot of lithium. A big thing like that might be able to power the average home. That's about what, like 4 or 5 Tesla Powerwalls. So, you know, you're talking about powering a normal home for maybe a few days. So I'm guessing that, you know, in combination with the diesel, whatever else they had going on there, if that was some sort of water filtration system or something to that effect, possibly propane. I don't think they'd have propane in a bunker. I think it was Ron over at Atlas who told me that you never put propane in a bunker as an energy source. So I'm going to guess that it's not propane, probably diesel is what they're running. Of course, diesel has a limited shelf life, but I'm sure these people won't live long anyways. To be quite honest, they're going to kill each other down there.
Bring the property independently. All Oppidum systems are carefully integrated into the overall design so that you'll never know it's there. An invisible shield.
Like, imagine being inconvenienced by the stuff that's made to keep you alive. Oh, this water. It's obstructing my view of the television set.
Operates with the same silent dependability as the movement in a Swiss watch.
Oh.
Unseen and untouched. To protect the people we love and the objects we...
Okay, now this is kind of cool. I'm liking this. This is probably among one of the better things they've shown here. It's very difficult to grow food indoors. You need a lot of light, and that light requires a lot of electricity. So how they're planning on powering all this for a long period of time, I don't know. You're going to need a whole lot of diesel, but apparently they got the square footage. So
cherish is the most powerful human instinct.
We actually tried that earlier this year to grow food indoors. We used a combination of passive solar energy and the light from lights. It's very expensive and it's difficult growing indoors. If you can grow indoors, you can grow stuff anywhere. A lot of people say, no, it's actually easier to grow indoors because no, you have to control all the variables. You got to pollinate, you got to water, you got to eat all this stuff. Put it outside, nature takes care of it for the most part.
Your Oppidum is the only luxurious answer to this call. Designed and constructed to withstand ballistic, environmental, and civil threats. This is security without sacrifice.
Ballistic, environmental, and civil threats. So ballistic, we know what that is. That's nuke time. They didn't say biological, or they said, what was it? Biological, climate? Environmental.
Environmental and civil.
Environmental. So I guess you could construe that as biocontaminants and civil defense threats. So they're talking about the purge. It'll protect you from the purge. So what you're watching here is like a prequel to the purge.
Threats. This is security without sacrifice. Comfort without compromise.
You should never have to sacrifice a damn thing, even in the end of days.
Oppidum.
Well, I tell you, they know their market, that's for sure. They know their audience. Ultra luxury fortified underground residencies. We're engineering technology and development company specializing in ultra-luxury fortified underground residences. We create spaces that are totally secure and utterly discreet, yet sumptuously appointed and entirely bespoke, all underground within your domain. I should have did that all in an English accent. This is strange. This is strange. Very, very strange. Well, if you need any more proof, guys, there you go. Let's look at their models. So they have the model La Heritage, and this is the Heritage model. I'm going to step down off my podium here because it's just easier for me to. You find yourself in a magnificent space, ceiling soaring almost 5 meters overhead, opulent handcrafted glass chandeliers, just what one needs when people are screaming for dear life outside. It's unbelievable. The architect's vision. I mean, am I sounding like a hater? I probably am. I should stop hating. I hope they live a fulfilling existence in their coffin. In their very, very lavish coffin. Linear. Linear now celebrates a new contemporary luxury aesthetic. Light, minimal spaces appear effortlessly, almost instinctively exceptional. So what's the difference? It's just, this one looks more, okay, yeah, it's more linear. It's more, it's less curvy. See, I'd be going for the curvy because you'd want to simulate, like the nature is round, man is very linear. You wouldn't want to bring linear. This is the kind of setup that will probably make people go nuts. You know, they need to take the advice of, you know, submarines and astronauts. You want to design things in such a way where it's not going to make people have psychological problems and start killing each other. What about the futurist? The futurist, that's pretty cool. That's kind of a combination, it looks like. Looks like an Avatar or something on that ceiling there. Yeah, see, I mean, just give me a room, a big, big room with a lot of stuff in it. And, you know, I'd personalize it a little bit because, hey, you want, half the battle is psychological when it comes to survival. And you might think to yourself, you know, I don't need any of this. I don't need any, you know, windows to the outside or elaborate pieces of art. But, you know, that might be the one thing that keeps you sane. But myself personally, I just load this place with plants. I'd probably have some of those TVs like they've had in the other bunkers. What is that called again? I can't remember. They were building these bunkers in these retired missile silos for a while. I don't know if it ever really got off the ground, no pun intended. But they had these screens, kind of like this one here, and it just showed pictures of the outside to provide you a bit of psychological relief from the cabin fever of being stuck in a bunker. Now, realistically, if there was a full-blown nuclear war, you're only going to be in this bunker for 2 weeks to 4 weeks tops. That's according to Ron over at Atlas Survival. However, if your home is going to be ransacked, which it will, and this is actually pretty smart. If I was a rich person, this is very, very smart. The problem is that the contractors who build this, it's going to require a lot of people to build this. So you're going to have a lot of people who know all the ins and outs and all the weaknesses. So you'd have to have a plan for dealing with those people, and most certainly they do. I'm guessing that the rich are probably a lot more proficient in firearms, and they got all the toys, right? They got all of the $20,000 thermal optics and sentries and all the rest. So they'll survive. Shelter technology for peace of mind. Yeah, they really know their market. Very nice website. Maybe I should, you guys think I should contact them and just see if they'd be willing to send me one of their top tier bunkers for review? Or maybe they'll just give me a tour. Actually, no, they wouldn't, because no rich person would let me on their property, especially after watching this video. I don't blame them. I wouldn't either, man. Who was it that video? Dan Pena. I think it was London Real who did an interview with Dan Pena, and he was talking about, he has this like castle, and he was talking about, you know, when the hordes come for him after the apocalypse, he's going to mount a 50 cal up there and just start mowing people down. At the time, I was like, okay, that's pretty mean, but I get it. I understand it. You know, it's all relative. We're all going to do the same thing in our own way when it all comes down to the wire. Hopefully, people will help each other out and spread that humanity as far as it goes. But everybody has a breaking point, I guess. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments section below. And if you had $1 billion, would you get something like this done? What would your ideal bunker look like? Your ideal $100 million bunker? I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this. Thanks for watching, guys. You take care. Canadian Prepper out.